Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and before we get into the content of today's topic, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, throw a like on this particular video if you want to support me in getting the word out there about the evidence-based approach of integrating the skills of dialectical behaviour therapy and the theories of personality that we get from schema therapy to once and for all effectively change those maladaptive behaviours that most of us seem to use when we're dealing with underlying emotional issues. Which leads me nicely into what we're going to talk about in today's topic. Getting to know how you personally can begin to use the skills of dialectical behaviour therapy is a very personal journey that takes a little bit of time. It's really important to understand that this work is not a quick fix. We have to build awareness for our distress and create new habits of how to deal with it before we can work on the underlying issues of our unmet childhood needs. But the one thing that we have to get sorted right from the very start is knowing what the ultimate goal we're aiming for actually looks like. Defining the direction that we're heading that will keep us on track throughout every challenging time that we're bound to come across along the way. So today, let's have a conversation about defining what it means to live the life you want to live. Okay, in the world of construction, building a house that's fit for any kind of purpose requires starting with a really solid foundation. If you don't, at the first sign of trouble or bad weather, then the building comes crashing down. So when I'm building the metaphorical house that I call me, then my foundation has to be rooted deeply in the solid principles or pillars that help me, not hinder me, to live the life I want to live. So first of all, I want to build into this foundation a well-rounded support network, a tribe or a village if you like, that I myself have created and made a commitment to developing in the way that I see fit. It's a network of people that has ever-decreasing circles of boundary setting and intimacy, which starts on the outer circles with people that I interact with but have very little connection with when it comes to emotional or physical intimacy. Moving through these ever-decreasing circles right the way into those people that I choose to be in my inner circle of support. I also know that in order for me to create the best possible foundation from which to build the life I want to live, I have to take care of myself physically every single day. Physical health plays a significant role in the manifestation of our mental and emotional health too. So I basically just need to perform the necessary maintenance on the foundation of my house. This means seeing the medical professionals that I need to see whenever I need to see them. For example, I personally schedule a full physical with my GP every single year. I actually just completed it prior to recording this video. And clearly, I'm in my 50s, so we all know what that means. I got my blood work done, checked out the functioning of my heart, my lungs, and addressed any issues that I was feeling physically by talking them through with my doctor. I also make sure that to the best of my ability, capability, and willingness, I eat a healthy diet, I avoid mood-altering substances, and I practice good sleep hygiene. I'm also exercising my body in a healthy way on a regular basis, and I build these things into my daily structure by actually scheduling times that I have the intention of following through on taking the necessary actions associated with completing each task. This is done so that I can begin to turn these new and sometimes really uncomfortable behaviours into the healthy habits that I need them to be. And all of this is wrapped up in the dialectical behaviour therapy skill that we call pleased. So I highly recommend taking the time to look at this particular skill in detail to assess exactly where you're at with it right now. The third pillar of principle revolves around the structure of life itself. Creating new habits means actually practicing them, and all of the research into behaviour change that I've read suggests that scheduling our life increases the probability of success dramatically. Simply tracking what we do and scheduling times to practice new behaviours is how we develop new habits. And in my experience, without scheduling a time to actually practice these things, most people, which includes myself, quite simply just won't do them, which can be for a variety of different reasons.
No, I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and you can't tell me what to do.
But if we don't schedule the time to practice the new behaviour, the changes that we're trying to create just won't be there when we go into a state of emotional distress, which is when we actually need them to be there the most. It's really quite simple. Scheduling life helps to build new habits, which is why this is a guiding principle of living the life we want to live. Finally, our foundation needs to be built on the practice of mindful awareness. You, and only you, are the expert on your own internal world. Any therapist, counsellor, or coach that tries to tell you they know exactly what you're thinking or has you looking for some subconscious belief that's simply not there when you do the self-analysis, in my opinion, just is not worth connecting with. Mindful awareness has us building the DBT skills of observing and describing what's happening in our system. And remember, we can only describe what we can actually observe. In other words, I can't describe what you are thinking and feeling because I simply can't observe these things. You and only you can describe your thoughts and feelings, and that makes you the expert on you. Practicing one mindfulness builds our mindful awareness, and it's really important to put this practice into our routine and structure by adding it into our daily schedule. All of these things, the skills that we're building, have one driving force behind them, the thing that gives us purpose and adds meaning to everything we do, namely living the life we want to live. But what exactly does this mean? Before we get into what it is, let's start with what it isn't. The philosophy of living the life we want to live is not about the things we have. It's not about the place we live or the person we're in an intimate partnership with. It's not about the job we've got, the money we make, the car we drive, or the number of different electronic gadgets that we've managed to accumulate over time. If I'm focusing on life from this materialistic perspective, I run the risk of falling into the trap of what we call the problem with instant gratification, otherwise known as the pig. And this particular mindset is strongly linked to those addictive, obsessive, and compulsive behaviour patterns that we're currently trying to change. Constantly trying to fill my own internal void with external material things keeps me trapped in old behaviours. So it's necessary to start with the understanding that living the life we want to live is all about being the person we want to be. And in particular, it's about being the person we want to be in the areas of life that are important to you. This is why clearly defining exactly what this looks like at the beginning of this process is absolutely key. Definitions matter because they give us the parameters from which we want to work. Without the definition, it's incredibly hard to know when we're reacting to a maladaptive and ineffective schema instead of reacting to who we actually want to be. In order to do this, we have to take the time to go through the exercises connected with defining your true, authentic values and beliefs. And this starts with exploring the 10 domains of life, then deciding which of these areas are most important to you right now. After that, we move into looking at the 5 core values and what they mean to you and the person that you're trying to be. And this is often where we find a bit of a sticking point, because if you're anything like me, not only do you get confused about the way you're being in comparison to the material things that you want, but you also have a hard time differentiating between your true, authentic values and beliefs and the beliefs that get activated when you're connected to a maladaptive and ineffective schema. So when it comes to defining this particular aspect of living the life we want to live, I like to start with a slightly different spin on something that's called the miracle question. In solution-focused therapy, the miracle question was created by Steve DeShazer, and the original version of this therapeutic intervention asks the following question. Suppose you go home tonight, you watch TV, do your usual chores, and go about your daily life, and then at the usual time you go to bed and you sleep. While you're sleeping, a miracle happens, and all the problems that brought you to this point in your life are suddenly solved, just like that. But this happens while you're sleeping, so you can't know that it's happened. Once you wake up in the morning, how will you go about discovering that this miracle has taken place? Now, clearly this question is designed to have you look at where you want to be, and over the years there's been a number of different versions of it that show up in a number of different therapies. During my time at the Canadian Mental Health Association, I received quite a bit of training in solution-focused therapy, so I had my fair share of exposure to the use of this particular question. The problem that I found with the actual practice of using this intervention was that it had a tendency of pushing people towards looking at what they wanted from the external world and taking them away from any level of accountability in the internal world. And it's actually my professional opinion that the continued search for external reward keeps us trapped in the mindset that's fueled by the problem with instant gratification. And At the same time, dialectically speaking, the miracle question is an extremely thought-provoking therapeutic intervention. So I decided to adapt it in an attempt to turn the focus towards the inside. If you want to get the ball rolling around exploring the nature of your own true, authentic values and beliefs, and you find yourself struggling to define things with any degree of certainty, I suggest completing the exercise that contains the following question with a high degree of contemplation. Let's suppose after you finish watching this video, you go about your day. You watch TV, do your usual chores, and then at your usual time, you go to bed and you sleep. While you're sleeping, a miracle happens and you transform into the person that you've always wanted to be with the behaviours that you've always wanted to have. And the people that are closest to you have changed from this perspective too. Now, this happens while you're sleeping, so you don't know that it's happened. So when you wake up in the morning, what would you notice about the way you're being? How would you see yourself and the world around you? What would you notice about your behaviours and how you're behaving in the areas of life that are important to you right now? The intention of this exercise is to get you genuinely thinking about how you would be if you were being the very best version of you that you could possibly be every single day, because this is what it means to live the life you want to live. And when we've taken the time to complete these exercises and we finally have this definition solidified in place, the next question is a really simple one to ask, but often a challenging one to answer. What is it that stops you from living your life this way right now? Guys, I hope this video gave you some insight into why it's important and actually what it takes to define what it means to live the life you want to live. If you want to know more, come join the live online meetings that I facilitate each week on Zoom for free. I'll leave a link to the page containing more information about these groups in the description below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Take care, be safe, and be well.